Seniors, especially those of you over 60 or caring for someone who is. Let's talk about something really important. Dementia is not just a natural part of aging. It's a serious brain condition that affects over 55 million people around the world. And seniors, unfortunately, are the most at risk. The tricky part? Dementia doesn't show up all at once. It sneaks in quietly, disguised as little memory slips, mood changes, or confusion that we often brush off as just getting older. But here's the truth: the earlier you catch the signs, the more you can do to protect your brain, your independence, and your quality of life. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 early warning signs you should never ignore. They may seem small now, but recognizing them could truly change the course of your future. Let's get started. Number 1. Short-term memory loss that's not normal aging. Let's start with one of the most common and often misunderstood early signs of dementia: short-term memory loss. Now, we all forget things once in a while. That's just part of life, especially as we age. Misplacing your reading glasses or forgetting why you walked into a room. That's usually nothing to worry about. But when forgetfulness starts to disrupt your daily life, it's time to take a closer look. For many seniors, this kind of memory loss shows up in small but noticeable ways. Maybe you forget an appointment, even after getting a reminder call the day before. Or perhaps you ask the same question 2 or 3 times in the same conversation, not realizing you've already asked. One especially common scenario? You've been taking the same medication every morning for years, but suddenly, you can't remember if you took it today, and it's only 10 a.m. Sound familiar? This type of memory loss isn't just about forgetting little things, it's about losing track of information that's vital to your everyday routine. And that's the key difference between normal aging and something more serious. With normal aging, you might forget a name but remember it later. With dementia, the memory may never return. That's why short-term memory loss is often the first and most visible sign of dementia, particularly Alzheimer's. It doesn't mean you're definitely developing dementia, but it does mean your brain may be under stress, and this is your opportunity to act. The earlier you catch it, the better your chances of slowing things down and protecting your independence. So if you've noticed that you, or a loved one, are beginning to forget recent events more often than usual, don't brush it off. Talk to your doctor, stay engaged, and take it seriously. Your brain might be trying to tell you something important. Number 2. Trouble managing tasks you've done for years. Now let's talk about another early warning sign that can be easy to overlook: struggling with everyday tasks you've done for years without a second thought. These aren't brand new challenges. We're talking about the simple things: balancing your checkbook, paying your monthly bills, following a favorite recipe, or even using your television remote. When tasks that once felt routine start feeling frustrating or confusing, it's a red flag. This kind of change often creeps in quietly. Maybe you've been cooking Sunday dinner for your family your whole life. But now, you forget to preheat the oven or leave out a key ingredient, even though it's a meal you've made dozens of times. Or maybe you sit down to pay your bills and suddenly can't remember where to begin, or how much you usually pay for electricity. That kind of confusion can be deeply unsettling. What's happening here is more than just a memory lapse, it's a decline in what doctors call executive function. That's the brain's ability to plan, stay organized, solve problems, and follow steps in the right order. This kind of function is controlled by the frontal lobe, and when it starts to weaken, it affects your ability to manage the routines that keep your life running smoothly. Now here's something really important. Many seniors try to hide this. They feel embarrassed or ashamed that simple things suddenly feel difficult. So instead of asking for help, they pull back. They stop cooking. They stop managing their own bills. They withdraw, not because they want to, but because they're scared of being judged. If this sounds like you or someone you love, don't ignore it. Recognizing these changes early can help you take steps to slow the progression and keep living life on your terms. Don't let embarrassment keep you from getting the help and the hope you deserve. Number 3, getting confused about time or season. Another early sign that often goes unnoticed is confusion about time, date, or even the season. As we age, it's perfectly normal to occasionally forget what day of the week it is, especially during retirement, when we no longer have a strict schedule. But when it becomes difficult to figure out if it's morning or evening, or what season you're in, that could be an early clue that something more serious is happening. For example, it's springtime, the sun is shining, birds are singing, but you ask, "Do I need to shovel the snow today?" That kind of question might seem harmless at first, but it actually reflects a disruption in your brain's ability to process time, seasons, and location. You may even wake up from a nap and feel completely disoriented, unsure whether it's morning or night. This type of confusion stems from the brain's orientation system, the internal clock that helps us know what's happening around us and where we are in relation to it. When the areas of the brain responsible for this begin to deteriorate, it becomes harder to stay grounded in the present moment. This can be especially challenging for seniors who live alone. Without daily structure or regular social interaction, there are fewer anchors throughout the day, like meal times, conversations, or scheduled outings, that help the brain stay aligned with time. This makes it even easier for disorientation to take hold and go unnoticed. And here's the real danger. When seniors begin to get lost in time, they may also start to lose track of where they are or even why they went somewhere. This can become a serious safety concern, especially if it leads to wandering, missing appointments, or getting lost. So if you or someone close to you starts showing signs of regularly confusing time or season, don't brush it off. These early orientation issues could be one of the brain's first cries for help, and catching it now may make all the difference. Number 4, physical movement changes before memory loss. Here's something surprising that many people don't realize: the earliest signs of dementia aren't always memory-related. In fact, your body may start sending signals before your brain does. Changes in physical movement and coordination often come first, but because they're so subtle, they're easy to blame on just getting older. Have you noticed yourself walking more slowly, or feeling a little stiff when you get out of bed? Maybe your posture has started to hunch forward, or your arms don't swing the way they used to when you walk. These changes can sneak in gradually, but they matter. You may also notice your handwriting shrinking or becoming harder to read. That's not just a coincidence, it's a brain function issue called micrographia, and it can be one of the first clues of cognitive decline. Even your sense of smell or taste may begin to fade without explanation. Many seniors chalk it up to aging or allergies, but research shows that the loss of smell is often an early sign of brain degeneration, long before memory starts to slip. Or maybe you're starting to feel a little off balance, even on flat, familiar ground. That's another sign that the brain's motor and coordination centers might be struggling. These areas of the brain help your body move smoothly and stay upright, and when they weaken, it can impact your gait, posture, and even how steady you feel standing still. The truth is, these physical changes are often the first signs that the brain is under stress. But because they're common in aging, we tend to ignore them until memory loss shows up later. So if you or a loved one is experiencing these small shifts in movement, balance, posture, or even handwriting, don't dismiss them. Your body may be giving you the first important clues that your brain health needs attention. And the earlier you notice, the more you can do to protect what matters most. Number 5, struggling with conversation or finding the right word. Another early sign that many seniors experience, but often laugh off, is difficulty with conversations or finding the right words. Sure, everyone has a tip-of-the-tongue moment now and then. It's perfectly normal to forget a word occasionally and remember it later. But when this starts happening more frequently and interferes with your ability to hold a conversation, it could be an early warning sign of cognitive decline. Maybe you're in the middle of telling a story, and suddenly, you can't remember what you were saying. You pause, try to gather your thoughts, but the words just don't come. Or maybe you substitute one word for another that doesn't quite fit, like saying watch when you meant phone. These moments might feel small at first, but when they start piling up, they become frustrating and concerning. It's also common to repeat the same story more than once, without realizing it. Your loved ones may smile politely the first time, but if they begin to look puzzled or say, "You told me that already," it might be time to pay attention. These struggles often begin in the language centers of the brain, which are responsible for organizing and expressing thoughts. As these areas begin to decline, it becomes harder to retrieve the right words, speak fluently, or follow a conversation, especially in a group setting where conversations move quickly. Many seniors notice this and start to withdraw. They avoid talking on the phone or participating in social gatherings, not because they don't enjoy it, but because they fear embarrassment or frustration. If this sounds familiar, please know, you're not alone, and it's not your fault. But it is important to recognize these changes as potential signs that your brain might be working harder than it should. The earlier you notice, the more options you have to stay engaged, get support, and preserve your communication skills for years to come. Number 6. Misplacing things and becoming suspicious. Let's talk about another subtle, but important early warning sign: misplacing everyday items in unusual places and becoming suspicious or confused about how they got there. It's something many seniors experience, but when it happens regularly, it might be more than simple forgetfulness. We've all lost our keys or glasses from time to time. That's normal. But with dementia, it goes a step further. You might find your television remote in the refrigerator, or your glasses in the sock drawer. Then, when you can't find them, you may start to believe someone else moved them, or even took them. Here's a common scenario: you misplace your reading glasses, then blame your spouse or a caregiver for moving them. You're convinced they were on the kitchen table, because that's where you always put them. But later, they're found in a completely unexpected place, like the laundry basket or bathroom cabinet. This pattern isn't just about forgetfulness. It reflects a deeper issue with short-term memory and logical reasoning. The brain is no longer keeping track of your actions the way it used to, and that leads to confusion, frustration, and sometimes even paranoia. For seniors, this can be especially upsetting. It can cause unnecessary arguments with loved ones or lead to feelings of isolation, embarrassment, and fear. Some may begin to question their own reality, while others may become defensive or withdrawn, thinking people are hiding things or playing tricks. The important thing to remember is, this isn't about personality, it's about brain function. When the brain struggles to track everyday habits, it's a sign that something deeper might be going on. If this is happening to you or someone close to you, don't ignore it. Recognizing this pattern early can lead to better understanding, support, and steps to protect brain health, before more serious confusion or suspicion takes root. Number 7. Mood changes or loss of interest in social activities. One of the most overlooked early signs of dementia, especially in seniors, is a change in mood or a sudden loss of interest in things you used to enjoy. It might show up as pulling back from hobbies, avoiding family gatherings, or no longer wanting to be around friends. And sometimes, it's not easy to spot, because it can look a lot like stress, sadness, or just slowing down with age. Maybe you used to look forward to going to church every Sunday, or meeting friends for coffee or bingo night. But now, you find yourself saying, "It's just too much effort." You stay home more often. You stop returning phone calls. You may even feel more irritable or suspicious without really knowing why. These emotional changes are often mistaken for depression or loneliness, which are also real concerns in older adults. But what many people don't realize is that these mood shifts can actually be an early sign of brain changes, even before memory problems begin. The areas of the brain responsible for regulating emotions, like the frontal lobe and limbic system, may begin to decline, causing someone to act differently, even if they're not fully aware of it. Seniors who experience this may also feel embarrassed or confused by their own behavior. They might not understand why they're losing interest in life, or why they're suddenly anxious or snappy with loved ones. And sadly, this often leads to more isolation, which can accelerate cognitive decline. That's why it's so important not to ignore these emotional warning signs. If you notice yourself or someone close to you withdrawing from others, losing interest in once loved activities, or showing sudden mood changes, don't assume it's just getting older. It might be your brain's way of waving a red flag, and the sooner you act, the more you can do to stay connected, supported, and in control of your life. Early body-based signs before memory loss. Now here's something most people don't expect. Some of the earliest signs of dementia may show up in the body before memory is ever affected. That's right. Long before you start forgetting names or appointments, your body might already be telling you that your brain is under stress. The problem is, many seniors brush these signs off as just part of getting older, when in reality, they could be early clues of cognitive decline. Have you been feeling more mentally drained lately, even after a full night's sleep? Do you find yourself needing that extra cup of coffee or tea just to stay focused during the day? That's not just fatigue, it may be a sign your brain is struggling to generate enough energy. Maybe you're tossing and turning at night or waking up still feeling exhausted, even when you went to bed on time. Or perhaps you've noticed you're a little more unsteady on your feet, bumping into furniture, or slowing down when you walk. These subtle changes in balance, coordination, and movement could signal early disruptions in the brain's motor control systems. And here's one more early warning sign many people overlook: loss of smell. If you're not smelling your food the way you used to, or familiar scents seem dull, it's not just a sinus issue, it can be a neurological one. Studies have found that a reduced sense of smell is often one of the very first signs of dementia, even before memory problems begin. These symptoms, mental fatigue, poor sleep, clumsiness, slower walking, and reduced sense of smell, may all point to reduced brain energy or early neuroinflammation. And while none of them confirm dementia on their own, together, they can paint an important picture. So if you've noticed any of these changes, don't ignore them. Your body might be whispering what your brain hasn't yet said out loud. And by paying attention now, you may have a real chance to protect your memory, your mobility, and your independence. The window to act: why early action is key. Now that we've covered the early signs, there's something incredibly important I want to leave you with: timing matters. When it comes to dementia, there is a window of opportunity, a time when the brain is still strong enough to respond to support, healing, and change. But that window doesn't stay open forever. You see, the brain needs three things to stay sharp: awareness, motivation, and energy. In the early stages of cognitive decline, those three things are still present. You can recognize that something isn't quite right. You have the motivation to improve. And your brain still has the energy to respond to healthy habits, better nutrition, movement, and mental stimulation. But once the decline reaches a certain point, it becomes much harder, sometimes impossible, to turn things around. Why? Because by then, the brain no longer has the energy or drive to repair itself. A person may not even realize something is wrong, which means they no longer have the ability to take action, or the motivation to care. That's why early detection is everything. If you catch these signs early, even if they seem small, you have a real chance to protect your brain, preserve your independence, and improve your quality of life. You can take steps to slow, or even reverse, the symptoms before they get worse. So if any of the signs we've talked about today feel familiar to you or someone close to you, don't wait. Talk to a healthcare provider. Make small, consistent changes. Get support. This is your moment. The earlier you act, the better the outcome. Your brain is worth fighting for, and it's never too early to take that first step. How seniors can protect their brains. So, what can you do if you've noticed any of these early signs? The good news is, there are real, science-backed steps you can take, starting today, that can help protect your brain and possibly slow or even reverse early cognitive decline. And the best part? These changes are completely senior-friendly and can easily fit into your daily life. Let's start with something simple but powerful: movement. Just 20 to 30 minutes of walking, dancing, tai chi, or even light strength training can stimulate brain activity, improve blood flow, and support overall brain health. Movement doesn't just benefit your muscles, it fuels your mind, too. Next is nutrition. Your brain thrives on healthy fats and antioxidants. Fill your plate with leafy greens, berries, nuts, turmeric, and fish like salmon or sardines. These foods reduce inflammation, improve memory, and protect your brain from aging. And don't forget to drink plenty of water. Dehydration can affect focus and mood. Equally important is what you avoid. Try to cut down on sugar and highly processed foods. They may taste good in the moment, but they can increase brain inflammation and worsen cognitive decline over time. Switching to whole, nourishing meals makes a real difference. Now, let's talk about your emotional and mental life. Stay connected. Whether it's chatting with neighbors, calling a grandchild, or attending a club or church group, social interaction keeps your brain engaged and your heart full. And finally, keep your mind active with mental stimulation. But don't worry, you don't need to do crossword puzzles all day. Try listening to music, learning a new hobby, gardening, telling stories, or even trying a few memory games. The key is to stay curious and involved. These habits aren't about perfection. They're about progress. One step at a time, you can strengthen your brain, lift your mood, and maintain your independence. Your brain is your most powerful tool, and you have more control than you think. Seniors, if you've noticed even one of these 7 early signs in yourself or someone you care about, don't ignore it. These small signals could be your brain's way of asking for help, and early action can make all the difference. Talk to your doctor, move your body daily, eat nourishing foods, and stay socially and mentally active. You have the power to protect your memory, your independence, and your joy. If this video helped you, please give it a like to let us know. Share it with your friends and family, because someone you know may need this information. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more senior-focused health tips every single week. Stay sharp, stay strong, and take care of that amazing brain of yours.